here, but hello everyone, and thank you very much for taking time out of your day this morning to join us. So again, just to remind everyone, we will be taking questions at the end of the presentation, but if you'd like to type those into the Q&A or the chat as we go along, please feel free to do that, and then we'll come back to those again at the end. It seems like every release cycle gets faster and faster, and time's flown by again, and here we are again at the launch of the 2014 product. So now that the software has started shipping, we can start to share with you, the release roadmap, some of the projected timelines for the new titles that are coming. And Paul and we actually have a few surprise guests for you today, are going to give you highlights of those in just a few minutes. But before he does that, I just would like to talk about Autodesk official training guides for just a minute. ASCENT is pleased to be designated by Autodesk as the sole AOTG provider for the 2014 releases this year. As an AOTG provider, we're able to start development using the beta versions with the goal of having several titles available by first customer ship of the software. So we're not permitted to release anything prior to that, but we want to be ready for it when it happens, and obviously it's already started happening. But this means that whether you're part of a training center or perhaps you're a company that's preparing to upgrade, or you're a student or an individual who wants to stay on top of the latest releases, you can begin preparing or offering classes on the most recent versions of the Autodesk products as soon as that software starts hitting the streets. As part of our development process, our team is working closely with Autodesk on several levels. So we're working with the education team and the product groups to make sure their input on curriculum needs from the software perspective, from customers' perspective, or from the partners that are doing training, things like that are all incorporated. We've also been participating in the Autodesk Certified Instructor training sessions to get feedback and help better align our content with those standards as well. This input has resulted in ASCENT having the widest variety of titles available for the Autodesk products, and this is enabling you to have more of a single source solution for AOTG courseware across the board. And now I'm going to turn it back to Paul and our team and to tell you more about those 2014 titles.
Great. Thanks very much, Rhonda, and good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. What I'll do over the next few slides is just take you through the different categories of courseware, talk about what we have released so far this year, and also what's coming. And as Rhonda alluded to, we do have some folks on the line with us today from the development team, so some of the folks that are actually writing and updating these training guides. So they'll come on in just a moment as well and give you some indication of some of the things that have changed or been enhanced in some of the training guides in their particular product groups. So let me start out with our general design category. This is where we have all of our Autodesk titles. AutoCAD titles, I should say. AutoCAD released at the end of March, and we were able to get our fundamentals and update courses released right out of the FCS date for the software. So we're really happy to have those out and available. So those titles that you see listed here in the blue color are the titles that are available today. Over here in the measurement column, we have two varieties here, if you will. We have mixed units, so we have a training guide for AutoCAD that has a combination of metric and imperial units used throughout the exercises or the practices. And then we also have coming a separate metric version only. So for some of the ATCs and partners outside of North America that are using the metric units, we'll have those coming a little later. But today we do have the update, the fundamentals, the essentials, beyond the basics, and the advanced course. These are all released and available today. The two titles at the bottom, the 3D drawing and modeling, that one we have slated for a release in June. And then the raster design, AutoCAD 2014 raster design, is slated for release in August. This time I'm going to introduce our first author, who is Elvis Sverko, who is one of the authors that contributes to the AutoCAD titles, and just have him speak for a couple of minutes on some of the changes that we have in those courses.
Thank you, Paul. Hi, yeah, this is Elvis. So regarding the AutoCAD books, there's a lot of enhancements that Autodesk has made to the software, and we've implemented a lot of those updates into our fundamentals courses, advanced course, and obviously the update course. And as you notice, the update course is from 2012 and 2013, but in the update course, it does specify which particular topics are new for 2013 or 2014 as well. So when you're going through that particular book, you do have those noted. Now, a couple of things I do want to talk about that we have implemented that are based on the software that Autodesk has updated. In the fundamentals book, the first thing that you'll notice is really with the user interface, and that includes the file tabs up at the top. So that's something new that was added. It's a nice way to be able to switch between different drawings, similar to at the bottom how AutoCAD has had the model tab as well as the layout spaces, and you can switch between them. Now you can also switch visually between the different drawings. So our fundamentals course talks about being able to do that, being able to turn it off if you need that real estate screen, being able to do a couple other options with it. Some other new things that were included with the software that is something good for a lot of new users as well as advanced users is with the command line. Now, a lot of people use the command line, but they've enhanced it, and we've talked about it in both our fundamentals course as well as the AutoCAD advanced course, depending on how advanced the topics are. And what I mean about with the command line, they've added being able to have autocorrect, so if you're spelling words incorrectly or commands incorrectly, it may autocorrect them for you. It has autocomplete, so you don't have to type the entire word. It does have also an adaptive suggestion, so as you're typing in for a particular command every time, if it's always lower on the list, as you continue to use the software, that particular command will then be slated up higher and higher. Some other things that you can also access from the command line also are layers and blocks. You can access the internet for searching directly from there. So a lot of different ways to utilize the command line, and it's even grouped into different categories. So you'll find a lot of those updates in both the fundamentals and advanced courses. Some other updates that have made to AutoCAD that we've implemented, again, in both fundamentals as well as the advanced course, depending on the particular topic. Some things include such as the layers, where they've increased the number of layers that are displayed on the pull down on the ribbon, making it easier for you to pick up certain layers, as well as adding it into a natural sort order, where it's like a 1, 2, 3 type thing versus where the number 2 would actually come before number 10 because it's a natural order. Before it was the opposite way. So that's new. We've included that in some XREFs have being able to switch between attach and overlay is new that we've included in the fundamentals book. And then some other options within fundamentals and advanced are things such as arcs, being able to go in either direction, having the attribute dialog box being open as the default, the new system variable dim continue, which allows for base dimensioning. And sheet sets also has a create date of the sheet, which is new and enhanced. So we talk about a lot of those topics, or we include them within our manuals. Another topic that's included in the advanced book is we now refer to for online stuff. We call it the cloud collaboration. And Autodesk has now have the Autodesk 360 online access that we include in that chapter, as well as the design feed tools, which is more of a sharing and commenting on drawings online in the cloud. So there's a lot of different things that we talk about regarding the cloud within one of the advanced chapters. And that's really what we have new from AutoCAD in the fundamentals and the advanced training guides.
Great, thanks for that, Elvis. All right, let me move over now into the building architecture area, and this is where, of course, we have all of our Revit architecture, MEP, and structure titles listed. So to date, we have released the 2 titles that you see highlighted in blue once again. Revit Architecture 2014 Fundamentals, and the Revit MEP 2014 Fundamentals. Both of these are available today in the Imperial version. So again, with these titles, we have a dedicated book for the Imperial data sets and a separate book dedicated to the metric unit system. For the Revit Architecture metric, we're anticipating a release date in just a few days, actually, so later this month in April. Our Revit Structure Fundamentals title, that one is just a couple of weeks away. We hope to have that one out early in May. So those two titles coming. One I want to highlight here for those that may not be aware of a new title that we released back in December. This one is called Revit for Project Managers. And this one is a real nice course dedicated to people who don't necessarily do the design work in the software, but need to know how to use it or what it can do, how to navigate around within a design. So it's a shorter version of our fundamentals course that is focused on project managers. And that one is available now in the 2013 version, and we'll have the 2014 version around the July time frame. For this group, I have Martha Hollowell, who you may have heard on previous webcasts, and she's the primary developer for Revit courseware. So I'll have her speak for just a couple of minutes on these courses.
Thanks, Paul. Good to talk to you all today. First of all, I want to talk about Revit Platform, and when I do that, I mean it's what's in Revit Architecture, Structure, and an MEP. And the lovely part is they do all overlap in a number of ways. So one of the big things that's changed is a few little interface tools. You've got things like the Properties palette and the Projects browser can actually be docked on top of each other. And as Elvis mentioned earlier, it saves some screen space. So you can have that. If you're using MEP, System Browser can also go on top of that. So you have little tabs where you can flip back and forth between those. There's another things with selection sets. There's a lot more double clicking that's going to take you to the thing that's most likely what you need. So we have that, those integrated into each of the training guides as we use them. Most noticeable for the platform is how schedules look in the schedule views. So there's additional components on the ribbon that you can do, make modifications to what your schedule is going to look like. And what you do in your schedule view is actually going to impact what's going to be on the sheet view. So when you drag and drop that schedule onto a sheet, you'll actually be able to see the same thing. You're going to be expecting what you're going to be seeing. We've brought that into each of the training guides that cover our schedules. We'll be having that in the BIM management as well on a much higher level, a lot more detail on schedules there. For Revit Architecture specifically, stairs and railings are continuing to be enhanced. And so we took some time this year and really worked on upgrading to match all the new things and the new processes in our topics as well as in our practice. And especially, I think you'll see some changes in the practice with railings because there's a lot of good railing updates that we've added now into the training guide. In structural, there's reinforcement enhancements that are going into our fundamentals book, as well as analytical updates that are going to be in advanced. So when we get to that, you'll see some additional analytical updates in our Revit Structure Advanced book. In MEP, one of the bigger things is you can divide systems now. So if you've got a system that's too big, there's a process that it will automatically divide them appropriately. Just saves time instead of you having to delete an entire system and then remake them. So that's a really good one. We've rolled that into our fundamentals. And other little things are out there. Air terminals can be put on ducts. You have a plumbing template, so if you're a plumbing engineer and you don't need all of the stuff that comes with HVAC and electrical, those are in there. And each time we try to upgrade what we've covered a little bit more, and in this case we've added a couple little things in our electrical area, such as placing light fixtures on reference planes, which is something that a lot of the electrical engineers like to do. So that's basically what we've got in our training guides this year, and more is coming as we get through the rest of them.
Great. Thanks very much, Martha. One item I'll point out here as well, this title, Revit BIM Management for Template and Family Creation, has been a popular title for us over the last year or two, and that one we have slated for a July timeframe. All right, let's move over to Civil and Geospatial. On here, just starting at the top, we have our Civil 3D Fundamentals course, which we are hoping to have out in May, so in about a month's time. One of the things that we're doing with that one is actually a change within the data sets. We got some great feedback on there was an issue with the length of the names of some of the views in the data sets, and it was difficult to see them on some of the menus. So that's one of the things that we've cleaned up, and I just want to point out we really do appreciate feedback like that. So comments that we get back from trainers and users of our student guides, we keep track of all of that feedback and certainly try and incorporate it into the training guides as we update those from year to year. Another title we have here is the Civil 3D Grading course. This was a new title that we released again towards the end of last year, and that's a 2-day course, so it builds on what was covered in the fundamentals and obviously focuses in on the grading topic. So that one we'll have out later towards the end of the summer timeframe. One we have here that's a brand new title that we have highlighted in blue here to indicate that it is releasing. It's actually releasing today, and this is a title we're very excited about. We had the opportunity to work with Autodesk to develop the first course that's really focused on one of the Autodesk suites. So this one is related to the Autodesk Infrastructure Design Suite for the 2014 version. The title is BIM Workflow for Roads and Highways. And this course is going to take you through an optimized workflow for roads and highway design projects using that infrastructure design suite. In the course, the students are going to get a chance to work with Autodesk InfraWorks, Civil 3D, Navisworks, Autodesk 360, and AutoCAD WS. So it's a 2-day course. We're releasing it today in the Imperial version. We'll have a metric version following in a week or two as well. A very exciting course, and I'm sure you'll hear more about this topic over the next few weeks as well. We'll be highlighting the metric version when it comes out later in the year, so keep an eye out for that, or later in the month, sorry, so keep an eye out for that one as well. With regard to the others that we have on here, Map 3D and Introduction to Plant Design, those you'll see coming out later in the summer time frame and into September for Plant Design. Just a reminder about Plant Design, we get people looking for courseware on AutoCAD P&ID and on Plant 3D. So this course really covers both of those. In fact, it also has a component on Navisworks in that 5-day training guide. All right, my next category here is on our visualization and review courseware, and this includes the Navisworks, 3ds Max Design, and Showcase. So for these Navisworks, we have a July timeframe release for that one. 3ds Max we're hoping to have out in June, and Autodesk Showcase in August timeframe. Showcase, again, was a new course we added at the end of last year. That one's a 1-day course that, again, covers the fundamental or essentials level topics around Showcase. All right, next up is our data management courseware. So all of our Vault titles are listed here. We do have Vault Basic Essentials, the one listed here in the middle. That'll be our first course ready for release. We're just wrapping that one up right now, actually, so we should have it out in the May timeframe. I think we have June on our roadmap, which you can find on our website at ascented.com, but that'll be out a little earlier than we anticipated. Following that, we'll have the data management for Inventor users. So that one has a specific focus, obviously, on Inventor, and then a little later in the summer toward the August-September timeframe is when we have our Vault Professional Essentials slated for. For this category, I have Barb Nash with us. She's our primary developer on the data management. So Barb, maybe you can talk about these a little for us. Barb, I think your line is muted there, so you just need to hit star 6. There you go.
Hello, everyone. I've created a top Autodesk Vault 2014 enhancements list based on enthusiastic comments from customers on the Vault beta site and in various blogs out there. these enhancements are being captured in the Vault training guides wherever the new functionality exists. The ones I'll start with help to improve the user experience. The first one is Preview tab improvements. Autodesk Vault 2014 introduces a new carousel view in the Preview tab, which not only allows you to view thumbnails of selected files, but also allows you to cycle through the historical versions or revisions of the file without loading the visualization file itself. So it's very useful. And then once a selection is made, the higher quality visualization file preview is loaded. You'll use this new functionality of the Preview tab in many of the Vault training guide practice exercises. The next is changes to the Get Checkout dialog box. The user interface has been redesigned to help simplify the user interaction and improve the download performance. So things like most commonly used settings are easily accessible. Another enhancement is to the Inventor Vault browser. You can further configure what Vault file details to append after the file name in the Vault browser to help you easily identify your design data. So for example, in Vault Professional, you can include the lifecycle state to show. So at a glance, you can see all the states for those files. And then next is revision table improvements. This one is a very popular enhancement due to user feedback. It allows more control of the file information displayed in the revision table rows. So whatever you may have wanted before in your revision table or have been asked about, it appears like you can now do it in 2014. Other improved usability enhancements include being able to use the change state command on locally modified files from within the CAD application. And the last one, for those of you that integrate Vault with Revit, there have been improvements made to family search capabilities, such as displaying multiple family details within the Load Family dialog grid and filtering by family types. So again, all this functionality is being captured in our Vault training guides.
Great, thanks very much, Barb. All right, the next category, actually the final category for us, is the manufacturing area. So starting at the top is AutoCAD Electrical, and that's the first one that's in blue, AutoCAD Electrical Fundamentals. That one is just being wrapped up now as well and should be out within the next week or so. One note about that is in this version, we now are using the NFPA standard. Previously, the JIC was the standard being used for the North American customers. Outside North America, it'll still be based on IEC. AutoCAD Mechanical, we're looking at a August release date for that one. And then moving on to Inventor, here you see a number that are already in blue. The Inventor software released just last week, so we were able to release with that our Introduction to Solid Modeling training guide, as well as our iLogic and sheet metal design. iLogic, if you're not aware, is again another title that we got out around the end of the year last year, and is a two-day course that's focused on, again, incorporating iLogic into the design work. Down toward the bottom here, you'll see highlighted in blue, available later in April, is MoldFlow Insight Advanced Flow. These are MoldFlow, and the simulation titles that you see listed here are titles that we're happy to work with Autodesk on. So we're working with the product groups for those two softwares to get those training guides available for you. Now I also have Jennifer McMillan with us, and she's the lead developer on our Inventor title, so she can talk a little bit about that for us.
Hi, Paul. Thanks very much, and hello, everybody. Yeah, as Paul mentioned, we have 3 of our titles that were released last week, and I'll just quickly go through and give you a little idea of what was new in these training guides. So, in starting with the flagship product that we have is our definite 5-day Introduction to Solid Modeling training guide, and in this you're going to see that all of the imagery dealing with the ribbon, the interface, is now reflecting the new branding. So you've probably all seen that Autodesk has done some new branding work, and the application menu is one of those areas that they've changed. So you can see that that'll all be throughout the training guide. In terms of specific functionality, the ability to create slots has been incorporated into Inventor, and that is now indicated in the sketching chapters in the book. And there's also some use of that in an exercise. Based on some user feedback that I did receive, I did a little bit of a change in the chapter dealing with secondary features, so whether they're extrudes or revolves. I've moved the existing geometry discussion after secondary features, so just to maybe a little more logical location. Once users understand how secondary features are created, then they learn more about how they can reuse their existing geometry. In addition, in that same section, had some feedback that the imagery describing the minimum solution and taper options dealing with extrudes was a little confusing, so updated those images so they're a little bit more obvious to what happens when you use those options. And the overheads have been updated as well to reflect those changes. For instructors or more experienced users, and it wouldn't be as obvious to a new user, the ability now to create a fillet on certain sets that are okay or will resolve, and then not create them on ones that fail is possible. So it's discussed in the training guide. It would be pretty much seamless to a new user, but as an instructor, that's something that you can pay attention to and see in the training guides. Additionally, the workflow for creating section views in both parts and assemblies has been updated. Just a slight change in the workflow, but the lecture content as well as the exercise has now been changed slightly to reflect that workflow change. The ability as well to create raster views. So with 2013, Autodesk introduced the ability to create a raster view as a view resolved in your drawings, and now it's possible to actually maintain that raster view until you explicitly set it as precise. So this is definitely a nice enhancement, a nice new view type that customers and your students that work with large assemblies would really appreciate. The majority of the work and changes in the Inventor software was definitely made in the assembly environment, and that was with the addition of new joint connections. So there's a whole new interface and tools available to assemble your components using joint connections. So in the Introduction to Solid Modeling training guide, there's been a new chapter added. So it's right after the, used to be, I think it was chapter 16 in terms of the joint constraints, constraints, and then joints follows it in chapter 17. So nice new chapter there explaining how you can do this, and it's followed with an exercise that supports that. So I've had some great feedback on the reviewers I've had already that it's a great exercise. It's a propeller, an engine propeller, and with the engine, and basically you're able to assemble the whole assembly using joints, and you can drag things around and move. So it's definitely an exciting exercise that I'm sure you will have some fun with and keep an eye out for. And that's what I have for you, Paul.
Great, thanks very much, Jennifer. Just a note here too about the titles for Advanced Part Modeling and Advanced Assembly Modeling. Those are just getting wrapped up now as well, and we expect to have both of those out in the next month in May. So that's our lineup of courseware. Before I throw it back over to Rhonda, I just wanted to highlight a couple of features just to make sure everybody's aware of some of the things that we have in the training guides. On this slide here, if you look in the top left-hand quadrant here for certification. So all of our training guides related to AutoCAD, Revit Architecture, Inventor, and Civil 3D all relate to the certification or professional certification exams that Autodesk offers for those products. So in those training guides, you'll see throughout the content and the topics, these icons here, a little pencil with the checkbox and certification written next to it. So this will indicate anything that's covered in that section or that topic is related to the certification exam, and then we identify the certification exam topics and objectives here as well that correspond to that section in the training guide. Additionally, at the end of each of those training guides for those products, you'll see an appendix at the back that has all of the exam topics and objectives listed out, and then we'll identify where in the training guide, what chapter, what section relates to those individual objectives. So that's a great resource for any of you or your students that are maybe prepping for the certification exams. Another item that we started to add last year and we're continuing to add into all of the training guides this year is enhanced chapter review questions at the end of each module or each chapter. So these are all in the form of multiple choice questions that if you're an instructor, you can certainly incorporate into your wrap up on each of your lectures if you wish to. And again, if you're using this as a self-study guide as well, it's a good way for you to make sure that you caught the key concepts that we were presenting in each chapter. For the instructors on the line, for those that aren't aware about the instructor tools that we offer for most of the student guides as well, just wanted to highlight those. And those will be available to you in a digital format that once purchased you can download. They'll give you some information about how to set up the class, also around the timing of the lectures, where you should be, if it's a 5-day course, where you should be at the end of day 1 and so forth. They'll also have all of the chapter review questions correct answers, so you can use as an answer key if you're using those as part of your lecture. And then finally, here on the bottom right-hand side, instructor slides. This is something that we've been working to add into more and more of our offerings over the last couple of years. So we have them now for most of the fundamentals courses. I think there may be 1 or 2 that are still outstanding that we'll certainly be addressing now this year with the 2014 version. These are slides that you can use as part of your presentation. I know a lot of instructors like to use different instructional techniques to mix up their delivery of the classes. So this is one tool that you can use for that. So you'll see that again in quite a number of our instructor toolkits for the various student guides. And then lastly here, I just wanted to give you a little sneak peek on some of the things that we're looking at for the upcoming version. So I've got a slide here titled that it's on our radar for 2014. We haven't committed to any of these things yet, but I just wanted to let you know we're looking at them, and if you want to provide us with any feedback on any of these things, we'd certainly appreciate that. Just starting over on the left-hand side here, one of the first things here is enhanced ebooks. So we have had a single-use ebook option for folks that want to have that digital version that they can have on a tablet or a smartphone, as opposed to the printed training guide now for the last couple of years. One of the things we'll be looking to do to that this year is incorporating some more interactive tools into those ebooks. So we're looking at incorporating some video content right into the ebook, as well as making the quizzes at the end of the chapters more interactive, so you can actually click on the options in the ebook version. So that's something that we're working on right now and investigating, and hoping to have something around those lines for the fall time frame. Some titles that we're looking at adding or developing this year: Civil 3D for site and sanitary analysis. That's a title that we've gotten some feedback on over the last couple of years, people looking for that, so that's one we're looking at this year. For Inventor, we're looking at a couple of titles here. One is a title or a version of our introduction or fundamentals level course that would be targeted at people who are migrating to Inventor from other 3D solid modeling tools. What we find with that type of audience is they typically don't need as much detail because they understand a lot of the concepts and the techniques. It's really just getting familiar with the environment, with the Inventor environment. So we're looking at creating a shorter, more condensed version of our fundamentals level training guide, so that introduction to solid modeling for that audience. Inventor for managers, this is similar to the one I mentioned earlier for Revit, in that it's geared toward people that aren't going to be doing design work in Inventor, but need to be able to open a model and look at it, do measurements, and understand, again, what the software is capable of. And that, again, would be a subset or a shorter version of our introduction to solid modeling course for that audience. We're looking at adding more metric titles this year. AutoCAD Advanced and 3D modeling is 2 that we're looking at adding metric versions of later in the year, and then also for Revit Structure. So our fundamentals and advanced courses we're looking at. And then one final title that we're investigating, we haven't committed to yet, but we're looking at Sketchbook as a possible addition to our lineup this year. So again, I really appreciate hearing people's input on that. So, through the year, as you see demand for any of these areas, certainly let us know, or any others that we haven't mentioned, and we'll certainly put those on our radar and give them some consideration as well. So let me turn it back over to Rhonda now. Rhonda, it's all yours.
Great. Thanks, Paul. And we're going to be just wanted to talk briefly about our format. So I know most of you are probably quite familiar with our formats, but just wanted to make a couple of points here. All of our existing formats will be available for the 2014 product. So the hard copy printed student guides in North America, they're 8.5 by 11. Outside of North America, we have a 8.5 by 7 standard size. Our ebook format that Paul was just mentioning, we do have instructor tools for many of our titles, and those are delivered electronically through download. And then we also offer digital site licenses for those of you who may be training and you're doing larger volumes. This might be a more cost-effective means of purchasing the content. Just going back to ebooks for a minute, I wanted to mention that on our blog, and I'll be putting up the addresses at the end of the presentation, but we have a great blog post that if you have perhaps seen the ebook format or maybe you haven't, and you're just wanting to know more about it, or if you're a trainer and you're wondering, okay, that's great, but how am I going to use that in a classroom situation? We have a great blog post by Michelle Rasmussen, another one of our developers, who really goes into detail about the benefits of the ebook format, you know, what it is, what it entails, and how you would use it in a classroom situation. So I'd really encourage you to go out to the website and check that out. And then moving on, just in talking to many of you day to day, and a lot of you at some of the recent conferences as well, we're hearing that you're really looking for flexibility to learn or deliver the training outside of the standard course format. So those of you who are training centers who also want a means to differentiate yourself with your own customers, a great way to do that is by customizing the content to ensure that your clients are getting the curriculum, you know, that makes the training as effective as possible for your customers' purposes. So we can customize our content. We can pull content from various titles, put it together for you. We can rearrange an existing title. If you have content, if your customer has proprietary content they would like incorporated, you know, we have a lot of flexibility to pull that together for you. And beyond just the standard content that we offer that you're probably most familiar with, we can also do documentation. So, you know, if you're working with a customer perhaps that's got some documentation challenges, perhaps they've come to training with you, now they're back at work, and they've got various projects going on, but they're struggling to keep tabs on their own best practices and standards, you know, how can you help them? Well, that's something that we can help you bring to the table in terms of, you know, collating that information, or perhaps just really getting it documented to begin with. But, you know, perhaps it's a need of your own, too. We can certainly work with you on that front. And just going back to the custom content for a minute, no matter what we create for you, we can deliver it in any of the formats that I mentioned on the previous slide. So the hard copy book, the e-book, digital site licenses, all that's available. So we have a great deal of flexibility within our system. And if perhaps, you know, you're offering some content but you don't have a means of distributing it, please contact us, and, you know, we'll be glad to talk to you about incorporating that into our distribution system. And then finally, I'd just like to thank you all again for joining us today. As I mentioned, here's our contact information. The blog is out on ASCENTED.com, our main website. We also, on that page, have a release roadmap posted. So we will be updating that periodically as the weeks and months continue and the titles are coming. Paul gave you some, you know, insight into, you know, the time frames that we have projected right now for titles. But if you want to keep tabs on that, it's listed under featured items on ASCENTED.com. You can also get to the blog post out there. We've got Twitter feeds. We're on Pinterest. So lots of means of keeping tabs on what we're doing. As Paul mentioned, we'd love to hear from you. So, you know, please feel free to give us any feedback, comments, and we appreciate that. So, again, thank you for your time today.